Morning, guys.
Good morning.
It's Thursday. You know what that means. It's time for another episode of Go Talk. You guys, we're going to talk about pre-foreclosure ethics today. We're going to take your Q&A, tell you a little bit about what Jodi and I have been doing for the last couple of weeks here in Northwest Arkansas. So you guys invite your investor friends, share the live. Yeah, get some people over here so we can have a conversation.
Tell all your friends. Tell all your friends.
Okay, so we'll be back in
45 seconds?
Yep.
45 seconds.
All right. Good morning.
I love that song.
It's great. And then, hey, good morning, everybody. Y'all tell us good morning. Tell us who you are, where you're at, so we can say good morning to you. Vincent. Good morning, Vincent from Houston. Dana, good morning to you. Smithwell Group. Good morning, Phil.
Which one of the group is that?
Yeah.
That must be Phil.
Yeah. Tell us who you are this morning. Facebook user, good morning. Andrew in Colorado. Andrew, good to see you. Andrew, we're going to be out your way next week. We need to get together. I know Phil and Tracy are going to be there. I'm not sure who else. Who else we got? Gosh, we got Marlon, North Carolina. Good to see you. Pat, Tom in Kennesaw, Georgia. Good morning, everybody. Great to see y'all. So anyway.
Good crowd early.
Yeah, we got a big crowd here. Gosh, it's moving day for us today. They're remodeling this hotel. We're going to have to change floors today, so that's going to be a lot of fun. I think
Isn't this? I'm in the lobby, but isn't this a pretty background here? Isn't that a pretty fireplace?
Yeah, it looks like
we're not remodeling that. I don't think. I hope not.
Looks like one of those fake backgrounds. Actually, we were talking about that.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. Guys, share the live stream if you will. Let's get as many people over here. We want to have a discussion about pre-foreclosure ethics. We had a situation come up this past week, and I want to talk a little bit about that because I know other investors deal with it. We've dealt with it in the past, and so it just seemed like something that was very timely. As more people go into foreclosure, there are going to be more people that need our help. But we'll get to that in just a little bit. So let's see what we got here. You guys, if you're over here watching us on YouTube, subscribe while you're here, sub2tv.com. If you're watching us on Facebook, get over to YouTube, sub2tv.com. Subscribe to our channel. We release videos just about every day. And we'd love to have you join us over there as well. If you haven't, if you're new to creative finance, download our creative finance guide. It'll show you several ways to get started with little to no money, buying real estate, changing your life. And you can get that at sub2deals.com/CFG. So absolutely free, won't cost you a penny. So get over there and do that. Let's talk about what we've been doing the last week or so. You want to share a little bit of that, or had a busy day Tuesday?
I was really busy.
Yeah.
I think we had 3.
Yep.
Kind of 4 closings.
Right.
I mean, 3 houses, but we had a double close, so it was really 4 closings.
Right. And then we actually had Harvey's house on Monday.
Right.
So
we had 5 closings this week so far, and it's only Thursday.
Right. So
we don't have any more this week yet.
Great week here in Northwest Arkansas. A couple of sub-2s in there, a couple of flips. Are you guys, and you guys, please, if you have your questions, throw those in here. We'll get to those. But on this topic, if you're flipping stuff, if you're getting stuff under contract at one price and selling it on the MLS for another, we talked about that in the Sub 2 Max meeting on Tuesday night. And it seems like some people in some parts of the country have zero problems with that, but other people like us, we seem to have a big problem with the agents. They just don't like it.
Yeah, they have a what do you call it? A misperception
Mhm.
about that we're wholesalers and that we're just going to flake
Mhm.
out on them and leave them hanging. But
Right.
no matter what we tell them, the more we tell them, actually, it seems the more they think we're lying crooks.
Mhm.
You know
Right.
what I mean? It's like we have the money to close. We're closing no matter what.
Right.
So I don't know what you're afraid of. The title company will make sure that your buyer is all covered, even if we were even if we were messed up or did something wrong.
Mhm.
They're going to protect them.
Right.
Nothing's going to happen. I think it's I don't know. I was trying to remember the example I was thinking of before, but it's just they're just afraid of
Mhm.
what they don't know, basically.
Right.
You
And even the title companies, we've spoken to a title
Yeah,
company since
that's
we've
true.
been here that had a cap on what you could flip a property for. Now, most of us that have been around a little while know about FHA rules that they put in place many years ago that for if your buyer was going FHA, you had to own the property for 90. I think one time it was 120 days
Right.
that you had to own it before you could flip it. But that
The
was
seasoning rule.
yeah, that was FHA lender specific. There's a title company here that will not allow you to sell a house that you haven't owned for 120 days for more than 50% of what you bought it for. So if you buy a house for 100, you can't sell it for more than 150 until you've owned it for 4 months. Yeah, Marlon says that's the 90-day flip rule. Okay, but that's an FHA specific rule, Marlon. That's not title company, right?
Right.
Yeah, that
So
shouldn't
they
be their
just
rule.
adopted that rule for
Yeah,
their whole company for
mhm,
no matter even if it's a cash buyer.
right,
That's the rule for even if a person buys it for cash, which seems ridiculous.
right. I agree, Corey. I think that's overstepping. I know we've been fortunate enough to find some really good deals here. In fact, one of the things that prompted this conversation recently was one we closed this week that we bought for 40 and sold for 150. And we did back to
It was a
back.
smoking deal.
We did back to back closings on this thing. The house needed a little bit of work, but it was just a motivated seller. Okay. And she wasn't in distress. Her house was free and clear. Her motivation came from different places. She lived out of state, and it really got down to his basic. I mean, she only lived about 3 hours away, but she said, it's the grass is starting to grow, and I don't want to have to drive over here every couple of weeks and mow this yard.
That's amazing, isn't it? That somebody that is
Right.
as little of a thing as that is a motivation to really give up $100,000 in equity.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not sure she realized she had that much equity, but
Mhm. Right.
but she knew she had some for sure. And
Right.
she told us, she goes, I don't care. I just want it gone. I don't want to deal with it. I hope you guys make a lot of money.
Mhm.
I know you're going to flip it. I know you're going to make a profit, and I hope you make a lot of money off it. I'll be happy with that.
Well, see, Marlon just shared something that I wasn't aware of. FHA also has a rule: if the value doubles, the buyer would need 2 appraisals, and they go with the lower one.
Oh,
So in effect, you're punished for making a good deal. But that's all that price regulation. I understand that they're trying to avoid. Listen, I was around, you know, 12 years ago too. I understand the stuff that went on during that time, but I mean, there can't be that much crookedness in the industry. I mean, FHA has specific appraisers. You have to be approved to appraise for FHA. You would think one would be sufficient if that's true. So,
but I also think if we bought it for cash and then our buyer bought it for cash,
right,
nobody should care about anything.
right. Well, that's the title company deciding, mandating what you can make, which is just a big problem. But I'll tell you, and we've had this conversation. I think we had this on here a couple of weeks ago when we started having trouble about the agents. This agent, she fussed she
Yeah.
never communicated with our agent without throwing in some type of comment about wholesalers and illegal, and you
She
can't.
said she was at the lawmakers whatever hearing,
Right,
trying to learn more about the evil wholesalers.
right. Yeah,
And again, we don't. I wouldn't consider us even wholesalers. I consider wholesalers people who, and according to that article that we found, wholesalers are people who don't intend to close. They just get it under contract and shop it around.
yeah.
I mean, we don't do that.
Right. When we put a house under contract, we intend to close regardless of whether we have a buyer.
Right. And if we can get a buyer on the same day, that's just convenient because we don't have to get insurance on the house. We don't have to pay taxes, property taxes for that at all, and turn the utilities on and stuff like that. So it's a hassle factor.
It's just easier, and if we don't intend to keep it, wouldn't you rather have your buyer 2 minutes after you close? Of course.
Yeah, I mean, we could close it and close it a month later, but then we have to do that.
Yeah. Hey guys, somebody just said good morning. Says Facebook user. So listen, go to streamyard.com/Facebook. So we'll know who you are, so we can say hey to you. So we'd love for you to do that. Let's see. Maybe this is Andrew, independent appraisers, really solved for this because we have to order the value report through a third party appraisal management company. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But some people don't want to let go. They feel like it's safer if they keep those tight rules in place. And
right.
Anyway, we just went, okay, next title company.
Yeah. And the title company that we use actually has an attorney that owns it. So he doesn't give us any problem. What we found, though, was the title company with the limitation actually tried to blame it on their underwriters or their title insurance providers.
Which our company uses the same exact underwriter. Right. So that was the owner of that company is probably passing the buck.
Yeah. So they do all of that stuff. But back to the deals that we closed this week. A couple of them were sub-twos. One of them was a foreclosure, and we're going to get to that topic here in a few minutes. One was a foreclosure. One was just a guy that just didn't want the house anymore. But they were both really.
We do have another closing this week, don't we?
Another one. Yes. Well, we did all the pre-signing the other day, but that's going to be the other foreclosure house.
Today or tomorrow?
Actually, we went ahead and filed the deed. We went ahead and had we just did the pre-signing the other day for
it. But it closes with them tomorrow.
Right. For sure. Okay. Guys, we got any sub-2 max students on here this morning? We're actually going to have our second mastermind for this year in about 3 weeks. I think 3 weeks from today it starts. If you're interested in learning more about sub-2 max, tell everybody about the mastermind, Jodi, what we do there and what kind of fun we have.
Well, because I'm in charge of the fun.
Because you're in charge of the fun. Yeah.
It's like a mastermind. I guess is just where you everybody shares what issues they're having, and the whole group can participate and give feedback and help and comments to each other. And it's been really cool because I think that everybody really bonds and kind of becomes like a little family. Mm-hmm. And work together on things. They JV on things. I don't know. It's a lot better than just going to an event where they pitch things. It's a much deeper thing than that.
It really is. It's a small. It's not like an event. Nobody lectures you for 2 or 3 days. It's more of everyone. We limit it to 30 people. Everyone shares what's working, what's not working in their business, and gets feedback from everyone else that's actually doing. So we have new investors there, experienced investors. In fact, we learned about radio at one of our mastermind events.
Because one of the students uses radio.
Right.
We've talked about that a bunch. Randy uses radio for advertising, and that tip alone has made us thousands and thousands of dollars already since we moved here.
Corey, don't miss it. we'll make a place for you. You guys need to get down there.
Yeah.
See y'all. Uh, send us a message or something.
Yeah.
We'll get you fixed up now.
We'll figure it out. If you can make it, we'll figure out where you can stay.
Marlon asks, how do you find your numbers for your pre-foreclosures? Tell me exactly what you're talking about. I can run through. As far as value, you can go with PropStream, you can go with Zillow, you can call up your agent and get comps for that house in that area. As far as what they owe and those things, you're going to get an authorization to release from your seller, and pick up the phone, call the lender right then. If they're in foreclosure, you're going to have to order a reinstatement number and a payoff figure. We always get both, even if our intent is to reinstate. The reason you want that payoff figure, let me give you a really good example, one we closed on this week. Her reinstatement was $12,000. And her loan balance showed as 122, but she had a forbearance agreement with her lender that had an additional $22,000 on top of that. So the loan looked like she owed 122, but in reality she owed 144. So you want to make sure you get payoff. I'm sorry. Yeah. Plus she had a lien. There were some other things that popped up. But that's how we get those. You're going to have to order that stuff directly from the lender. And sometimes that takes a couple of days to get that. We really had to harass those people daily to get that stuff. So, but that's where we get the numbers from. When we talk to the seller, we write it up based on their last mortgage statement they've got, what they tell us, and we'll write it up based on those numbers. And we'll get our final numbers.
And you often write in there the word approximately.
Oh, I do. I'll write approximately. Right. And we'll also write in there, that the number differs significantly. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about in foreclosure ethics when we get to that this morning. So, yeah, for sure.
Well, he actually said this, yeah. How do you find your phone numbers?
All right. So we're talking the wrong three completely. We go directly.
So erase all that, what you just said.
Yeah, right. Okay. So I'll let you answer that then.
No,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Where do we get our list to call?
Oh, we don't call them.
Yeah. We knock on their door.
We don't call them. We knock on their doors, and then we send them postcards. We used to skip them and whatever, but they don't answer the phone anyway, generally. So we don't do it.
Right. And I'll tell you this, Marlon, if you're talking about where you get your leads from initially, the best source is always going to be the local courthouse. It's loud in there, isn't it?
Yeah, there's incoming guests, I guess.
Loud guests.
The other thing I was going to say, and I can't hear you very well right now, but the other thing I was going to say is the girl that we just closed on, she said she got a lot of texts. So people got her number, skip traced her, got her number, and texted her. And she didn't care for that, really. She went with us because we came to the house. We left her a packet. We sent her some postcards. She said she got a lot of texts. She didn't know who they were. They just said, "Hey, are you selling your house?" I think she chose us. I mean, honestly, a lot of those texts came after. But I think she would have preferred our approach anyway, because I think she didn't trust those people that were texting.
Right.
So, I don't know that calling or texting is the way to go. These people are already kind of like defensive or whatever you want to call it, kind of hiding out.
Right.
So I don't think they answer. So
yeah. Pre-foreclosure people, they're a tough market anyway. They're dodging everybody.
Right.
So sending them a text, will that work? Well, I'm sure there are 1,000 investors that'll say, "Man, I buy houses all the time texting." And it will work with some people. It is going to rule some people out. And obviously, and I understand this, if you're doing stuff remotely, you can't go knock on the door. But I'm telling you, nothing is like local. It's really not. I missed it a lot. I was really looking forward to doing it. We're having a really, really good time doing that now.
Did we get this one?
No, we didn't. When talking to a seller, what do you guys tell the seller when they ask, "When do you stop making payments? Do I get the deed back? How do I protect myself?" Just wondering what recourse the seller has if the end buyer stops making payments. You will get that question occasionally. It's usually going to be from somebody who's on the fence about selling this way, who doesn't have an urgent need to sell. Most people, okay, let's just talk about the 3 foreclosures we bought this week. Not a single, and even Harvey wasn't a foreclosure. He never asked, what if you don't make the payments?
No.
Most people, that they just don't. If they do ask me that question, I'm going to say, Mr. Seller, if I stop making the payments, your credit's going to be toast. I mean, that's really what's going to happen here. But let me explain what we do. We've done this for 24 years. That's all we do. If we buy your house, we reinstate the loan. If we give you money, we're not going to not make the payments. We're going.
If we stop making payments, we don't make any money either. And then all the money we've spent is gone. So
Right.
We don't have any reason to do that.
Right. We actually created a document several years ago, and we call it a seller recourse document, and it outlines the steps they need to take if we ever are negligent in making a payment and we're 30 days late. So that's part of our closing package. It gives them step by step what to do. But if they don't bring it up, I don't bring it up. Most people just won't. They just won't ask that question. At least we find that to be the case. I don't know where we are.
This is still Andrew, or who asked this from?
Do you guys routinely call the underlying mortgage bank with the seller to obtain either both payoff or reinstatement? Yes. If you're sitting there with the seller, that's an excellent time to do it and get added to the loan. If you're not, you do want to contact the lender directly, either with the authorization to release, power of attorney, and get your payoff and reinstatement. You want both of those numbers. They're very important. The loan balance on the statement will not always tell the whole story. There may be something else out there, so you need to get both to do that.
Making sure we didn't miss something here.
I got a seller finance deal here in Houston. Seller's asking for $240, needs $40 in work, ARV $315. Seller open to seller financing. What do you recommend? So $280 worth $315. I'll tell you, Vincent, I'm not sure. You're local to that market. You know exactly what's happening in that part of Houston. Where I sit right now, that's not a deal. This house needs $40,000 in work. You're only looking at 35, so you got 10% roughly equity. That's just not enough for a house that needs work. Now, if you were going to take over a 280 loan with a low interest rate and the house was worth 315, different story.
If it didn't need any work.
Right. You can take that and make money with it. That 40,000 in work is a deal killer for me as a hold, because then I've got significant cash tied up in that I can't get back out. I would try to renegotiate that price with him enough to flip that thing. That would be me, though. So I would work on him on the price. Hope that makes sense. Let's see.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense to me.
Yep. What else we got? Pat the dude. What is your favorite way to market to pre-foreclosures? I like to knock on the door. I like to talk to them face to face if I can, and that's my absolute favorite.
And we follow up with postcards.
Right. We'll go knock on the door today and then drop them into a post. If we don't make contact with them, and even if we do and they give us the brush off, we've got it taken care of or what have you, they're going to go into a postcard sequence that's going to get them a card every 7 to 10 days until about 2 weeks before the auction, when we're going to go back and knock on the door again. Just a last effort to do that. Okay, so any other questions?
Radio ads by far.
Yeah, I would say it's 75% radio ads, 25% foreclosures right now. Radio ads are just great. I know y'all are sick of hearing me talk about
I know.
it.
It's like,
but I'm telling you.
You know why it sucks for people is because if they can't afford to do radio ads, because it's a pretty hefty price to do it. But
I think that depends on your market.
You're right.
We're on 3 and your negotiating skills.
Right. but it's still not for those who are on a super shoestring budget. But
Right. Yeah.
it's not really that bad. And
Well-
of course, if you can muster it up, you
Right.
make your money back tenfold.
Right. I tell our story, and I can't guarantee this will happen for everybody, but when we got started, we started with 2 stations. And our total cost was $1,500 a month. It was $500 for one station and $1,000 for the other. We started running ads. We got a call the first week from our ads, and we closed that deal before we ever had to pay our first payment to the radio station.
That's right.
Our first deal from radio netted us $71,000. And then I think the next week we made our first payment. So because radio bill you in arrears. In other words,
Yeah.
You start your ads on the 1st, you pay on the 1st of next month. You don't pay in advance.
We signed that. We started the radio ads November 1st, and we signed up that deal. I mean, we didn't close on it for 2 more weeks, but we signed up that deal on the 29th of November.
Mhm.
And we sold it 2 weeks later.
Right.
So we made the payment before we had the cash in hand, but we had the deal
Right.
under contract.
Right. So, I mean, I just think they're absolutely, just the conversations are just different. These people are calling you, so they're not mad at you for interrupting them or
There's a whole
hounding.
different view of the guy on the radio who is offering to help and saying, "Hey, call me." Then there is people who are reaching out to them, calling him, texting him, sending him things that feel like little sharks that are, trying to steal their house. It has a whole different feel to it and a whole different
Right.
image,
It does. So Vincent said, if they don't answer, what kind of notes do you leave? We have a door drop package
we
that we leave.
leave really mean ones.
Yeah.
Just kidding. We don't.
Why weren't you home, jerk? We wanted to buy your house.
Weren't you
Now
entering the darn door?
we leave a door drop package. It's got a contract that has limited information filled in. The offer price is blank, and we invite them to write a number in that works for them, and then just a letter with it that explains what we do and that we're glad to be a resource for them if they don't want to sell, to assist them in trying to keep their house if that's a possibility. Let's see.
Do you want to give him the website to our company?
Yeah,
They can go there and it plays right there.
they can go to planbprops.com
Yeah.
or the YouTube channel and listen to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jodi took the ad and made it sort of into like a
Yeah, I put just a
commercial.
little bit of video to it, a little dumb video to just so there was something to look at while you listen to the radio ad.
Mhm.
So if you go to planbprops.com, I believe it's on there,
Mhm.
or Plan B Properties or Plan B Props on YouTube. I can't remember which one it is.
Right. Okay, do you find online newspapers fast here in Georgia, or still go in person to get a list from the county? In Georgia, I'm telling you, Georgia has the fastest, along with Texas, foreclosure process in the country. They've got like 30 days, literally. The notices come out on the first Saturday of the month, and then the auction is on the first Tuesday of the following month. Be the first one out the door, Pat, on the first Saturday morning of the month. Get your Saturday newspaper, go through there, check them all out, and make up your packets if you're going to do that, or just go out and start door knocking.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in Georgia, I bought 2 or 3 foreclosures almost every single month from doing that. It's very fast, and most investors you'll find are too scared to door knock. But I'm telling you, in doing it for over 20, well, no, I didn't do it for several years while I was out of the country. But anytime I've been local, I've door knocked. I've knocked on hundreds and hundreds of houses. And I've never had anyone I've had people that were annoyed with me, but I've never had anybody, I've never felt like I was really in danger, So, yeah. For your postcard sequence, are you using REI Black Book or another system? We're actually using Finish Green, which is one of our Sub-2 Max students products.
Actually, we're not for that. We're going right to Andy's thing for that.
Right. Okay, I'm sorry, I misspoke. I thought you were talking about.
The postcard sequence, we don't.
But you can use.
You can loop it through there, but I've just the way we do it, it adds an extra step for us the way we do it.
Right.
So we just go right to what's Andy's link?
Gosh, I don't know if I have it in here or not. I may have. I'll have to find that. I'll put that in the comments.
You know what it is in your head, don't you? Sub to
Here it is right here.
direct mail.
Direct mail.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's what we use for postcards.
They're super
that can be
inexpensive.
linked through Allie's finish screen too.
Right.
I just haven't done it because
you can link you can link it up to that and have everything self-contained. We just go direct to Andy. But Andy's awesome. And we pay less than 50 cents a postcard, I think.
Because we just don't use our foreclosures through that system right now, so we just do it separately. But you can do it that way.
Okay, what else do we have? You keeping up with them? Are you starring everything here?
Good job. I think we're kind of. Did we get this one?
Do you make sure your principal and interest on a wrap loan covers the PITI on the underlying? No, Frank. Our principal and interest payment is just structured based on whatever interest rate we calculate for them. We mirror our taxes and insurance escrow. 99% of the houses that you buy are going to have a tax and insurance escrow. And that's all we do. We mirror whatever. If we're paying $250 a month taxes and insurance, we tack that onto the PI payment that we come up for our buyer. So that's what we do with ours. We just keep it really simple. I know there are a ton of questions in here. How long is the foreclosure process in Arkansas? It varies depending, because Arkansas allows for judicial and non-judicial, but the average is about 90 days. Isn't that right, Jodi? About 90 days?
Mm-hmm. I was going to just add the Plan B link on here so we can put it up.
Okay. How often are you door knocking? Are you timing it to be on a cycle? You know what? We go through the foreclosure filings weekly. Once a week, we go in. What are the new ones? We go out, door knock right away. So many times, the people they aren't even aware that the bank has filed the actual foreclosure yet. That happens more often than you think. Then we get them in the postcard sequence, so they're getting cards every week or 2 weeks. Jodi did a really good job of creating these cards that reference the package we left on the door, the big green envelope. That's our signature here, I guess. Everything we do is in a big green envelope. So the cards actually have the envelope on there. So, hey, a few days ago, we dropped this off.
That postcard should be right there, too. You can grab it on the desk.
Yeah. It's here somewhere.
It might be shuffled in.
Yeah.
It's all right.
I don't know. Yeah. The postcards actually reference the big green envelope.
So we have a thing. We recently dropped off an envelope like this, and there's a picture of it, so they can go, oh, I remember. So
they'll get postcards for 6-8 weeks, and then about 2 weeks before the auction, we'll go out again with a smaller envelope. And we've got a student that did mailers with checks that said, hey, we can pay you blah blah blah. And we modified that a little bit. So we actually put a check inside that envelope that says, hey, we could pay you as much as X if we buy your house. And so we'll take that out the last couple of weeks. And that's our door knocking sequence. Let's see, your 3 deals from door knocks. We've gotten 2 from door knocking.
Yeah.
Right. The two we closed on this week came from door knocking.
Right.
Okay. What's your exit strategy for foreclosures? It depends. One of them we're going to retail. I don't know if we should talk. Should we talk about the numbers on the Bell?
No, it's against your
Yeah. I don't like to talk too much about numbers before deals close. I think
it jinxes you. But there's plenty of equity in one of them to just retail and get the equity
right.
out of there.
This other one that we closed on this week, we're buying at about 77, I guess about 70, maybe roughly LTV, but it needs a little bit of love. So we're going to have to do a little bit of fix up and stuff on it.
And there won't be really enough room to retail that one.
Right.
Not really. I mean, if we did, it would be skinny.
I think when I look at a deal like this, I think realistically, if we do what the house needs and listed it with a realtor, by the time everything was said and done, we probably wouldn't make but maybe $20,000. If I sell this house with seller financing, I'm going to have to go and take this. So
you're leaving me here all alone.
You're there, so I'll be back.
Okay, I don't even know what he was talking about because I'm distracted by the vacuuming behind me. Anyway, Marlon, you listened to the ad? It actually, people really, we've had actually some calls from people that have said, I love your ad. Another investor called a little bit ago, a couple days ago, and said, I just love your ad. It's great. Hold on one second. Okay. And yeah, it's it was just a formula that Randy, we just copied Randy's ad. Honestly, he had the same, almost the exact same ad. We changed just obviously a couple pieces of it to put our own name and number in it and stuff like that. But it was he went to a class, like a boot camp for it, and learned how to do it. And they said just stick to this formula. So we just did. We stuck to the formula, and it seems to be working really well. We were thinking we might add a second ad, and the first ad, we're going to probably keep it basically the same, but we cover like, do like fix up house? Do you have a fix up house? Do you have, are you behind on payments? Are you in foreclosure? We have a little small list of things. And then if we do a second one, we're thinking about adding a couple things that weren't on the list, but basically making it identical with just different bullet points inside of the thing. Okay, I'm trying to think. Who's El Paso Rio? I feel like I should know who that is. Okay, let me see what else we got. Putting a check in the drop packet. Oh, you're back.
Hey.
Did you buy a house?
No, I was actually talking to somebody else we've already talked to, but I'll tell you about it. Okay. Can you talk more about the idea of putting a check in the drop packet? Are you simply indicating a potential sale price on a mock check? Yes, Juan, that's exactly what it is. You can buy, how much did we pay for 500 checks?
Want to be on the right side.
Yeah. How much did we pay? I mean, checks are expensive, and you can, Was
it 500 that was in that box? I don't know. It was like $30.
It was a whole bunch of them, and you can set this thing up on your printer where it'll print out in the right format, where the bottom of the check is more or less a letter, and the top part looks like a written check, digital sort of thing.
Yeah, 1/3 of it is the check.
Right.
And the bottom is just plain white. It's where you would put your, statement or something where it would print.
Right.
And you can just, what we're going to do, we haven't actually started doing it because I just need to get the details down, but is handwrite it with a Sharpie, like a handwritten letter, and then just print that over and over.
Right.
And make a check that's kind of generic or whatever on the top. Just it's really, obviously it's not a real check. It's not going to be cashable, but they get kind of a more tangible idea that they can have a check written to them. So.
Right. Okay. I don't know where we're at all here, but.
Well, you got Smarty Pants there.
Upcoming events where you can learn about, Phil, we're, I don't know if this is Phil or Tracy, but we're actually going to see you guys. Bill Bronchick's having a thing out in Denver. He said yesterday he only had 3 seats left. But yeah, we'd love to see some of you guys out there for that. Jodi and I are going. And I think Phil's going, Tracy's going. I'm not sure who else from the group's going, but I think it's going to be a small group. It's going to be about 50, I think, unless he's got a bigger room. But yeah, that's a great thing to attend. I got my start learning most of my stuff from Bill Bronchi. He's amazing.
He's a genius.
Yeah, we like him a lot. Let's see.
I was just going to mention though that we haven't really talked about the ethic thing yet.
Yeah, I know.
At a time.
I know. I figured we'd get on that at some point. We got all of these questions. We'll go ahead. We'll get to as many questions as we can. But let's get
that in before we run out of time, and then if we have more questions, we'll come back.
Preforeclosure ethics. Okay, so you run into this situation from time to time where a seller contacts you, and again, one of these deals that we just did this week is a really good example of that.
The one that didn't have much equity.
Right. Well,
that wasn't the exact reason, but
we're so spoiled now. If we can buy a house for $150,000 that's worth potentially $230,000, we don't think there's much equity there.
I know.
Honestly, this house needs probably $15,000 worth of work. It needs paint. It needs carpet. There's some repairs. It needed a good bit of cleanup.
A good bit.
So you're looking
a lot
at spending $15,000 on that. And you write it up originally that they would owe, say, I think $145 is what we were looking at.
Yeah.
And then you've got your due diligence period in your contract that gives you a week or however long you have realistically. If they're foreclosing in 2 weeks, you can't take 2 weeks for due diligence. But, at the time when we wrote this up, she had 6 weeks to auction. So we had plenty of time. We had 2 weeks for our due diligence. After the due diligence period was complete, an $8,000 lien appeared on the property from a credit card. So that was attached to the property at that point. And they were supposed to vacate on the 8th of 1 month and wound up not vacating until the 3rd or 4th of the next month. So they took an extra month to get out. That took all of our marketing time, all of our cleaning, fix-up time. So they actually got out of the house about 4 days before the auction was to happen. So in a situation like that, where the seller doesn't follow through with the things that they're supposed to do, where things happen where you owe more on the property, at what point as an investor is it ethical for us to go, you know what, this deal isn't what it originally was going to be, and we're just not going to close on it? Now, what's going to happen at that point is you're going to leave your seller in a real bind if they're conscious of this foreclosure. This particular girl, that was her thing. She said,
that was her only goal.
Right.
She didn't want any money out of it. She just wanted to avoid the foreclosure on her record, on her credit.
Right. So what do you do? We had this conversation with our Mac students the other night. What do you do? Do you go ahead and close, taking another, $10,000 or $20,000 hit on it? Do you go, well, it's just not enough? Do you feel comfortable walking away from something like that? Do you feel like that's an ethical thing to do? Or no, your job, we talk about, we give a lot of lip service to one of the main things we do is help people. So would we be helping that seller when she only would have 2 days to find another buyer? And I'm telling you, I know how long it took me to get a payoff from her lender. There's no way they could have closed that unless they did it blindly, not knowing what they were dealing with. So what do you think?
Well, and on top of the fact that, she was like 4 weeks late getting out, but it wasn't because she was just taking her time. She had other things come up. She had a kid. She has a job. She was going through a divorce. So I felt like she was really trying. To help facilitate this thing along as much as she could. She arranged to get a dumpster and paid for it herself, which sometimes we have to pay for that, but she ordered it and took care of it. She was very proactive, really. Mm-hmm. So because she really wanted help, everything we asked her to do, she did it. Sometimes she had trouble getting it done by our deadline, but she really tried to do it.
Right.
So I think that was part of it too. She worked
Right.
really hard to make it happen. And so I just felt like we can't just leave her. We just can't drop her, you know?
Right. Yeah. So what's the point? What's the point where, we do this to help people, but it's very important that we make a profit. We can't run a business where we run negative on deals just to help somebody else. Have we ever done tight deals, because we felt sorry for somebody? Well, you'll run into situations where you do that. But I thought that was a valid question, and nobody has shared what they think about it yet. But at what point do you say, I'm sorry, but this thing just didn't working out like it was presented originally? You didn't get out in time for us to do things. There's an extra $8,000 lien on this property. Are you going to take care of it? We can't afford to. And so, I was pretty frustrated the other day with the way things were going on this. And I said, gosh, do we want to close on this house? And, Jodi was just, very, I don't know. She was just very calm about it. She's like, look, the profit's not what it was going to be. The situation's not what it's going to be. We're still going to make money on this. And we have a responsibility to this girl
If we had known all of these things in the beginning and we said, yeah, this is not going to work for us.
Right.
6 weeks ago, she would have had time to look for someone else.
Right.
I just didn't feel like we could leave her in the lurch at the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my line would have been if we'd have uncovered a lien that was much bigger and we would have lost money. I think that would have been fair.
Right.
Just, we found this big lien. We can't do it. I'm sorry.
Right.
But I felt like as long as we weren't going to lose money, and I knew, she was counting on us. So I just felt like we needed to go through with it unless we were going to lose money.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We had no comments coming out of this.
Yeah, nobody has well, that's the way it was in the Max Group the other night. People don't. That's a tough question to answer. Would I back out on it? Would I cut it loose because I'm not going to make the profit I expected? Or people don't want to answer those questions. I get it. But that's something that we have to deal with in our business.
The other thing I was going to say is if she would have said, I'm not getting anything anyway, and I don't really care if it goes to foreclosure, then that would have been different too.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Even if the numbers were all the same.
Mm-hmm.
But she said, well, sure, it'd be nice if I didn't have it, but I don't care that much.
Right.
Then I would have said, okay, well, then we're probably not going to do it. And if she just said, that's fine, that would have been a different story. Mm-hmm. But she was like, I have other investors that want this house too. So should I call them? And we're like, no, we'll still do it. We just want to let you know there was, the liens popped up and whatever. Right. So we didn't, I didn't want to leave her stuck with trying to find another investor who couldn't probably have time to close.
Right. But and total disclosure on this thing, the reality is we'll fix it. We'll hold it for an extra month before we're able to fill it. And our projected profit on this thing is still over $60,000 over 3 years. But what you'll find with a lot of deals, especially deals that aren't slam dunk home runs, and they're not all that way, is there's almost a checklist, and every time there's a little negative. Well, this house is really nasty. Well, you've got to clean this thing up. Well, we don't have this person on our team yet that can handle this. We've got to find that.
And we're not going
to. There were a lot of little check marks on that. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, it still works out, but we have been spoiled here. Mm-hmm. Some slam dunks here lately. Vincent asked, how do you deal with a sub-2 seller that has a lot of equity? Do you make payments? If they'll let us, we will. Ideally, what we like to do, let's say, for example, Vincent, that you call me and you have a house worth $300 and you owe $200, and you want $75,000 for your equity. And I'll say, well, Vincent, we'd love to buy your house. We can pay your $275 for it. If we agree to pay $75 for your equity, how much do you need right now to get the deal done? Okay. Well, maybe the house is already vacant. Maybe you've already relocated. You're just making 2 house payments. We talked to a guy a couple of days ago that's doing that. He's making 2 house payments. He's got a house with equity, and he wants some of it. So I would say, what do you need right now? And you may say, well, I want all of it. I'll say, well, okay, I understand that. Everybody wants to get paid everything today. But if we're able to pay almost full price for your house, if I could give you a part of your equity today and the rest of it at some point in the future, would that work for you? And you'd be surprised the number of times people say, well, yeah, okay, I could take 10 today. Well, if it's $300,000 house, then I know I'm probably going to get $25,000 down from somebody. So I'll make money on the front end. I'll make money on cash flow, and then I'll give you the rest of your equity when our buyer refinances at some point down the road. Now, probably the next question is going to be, how long will that be? And I have to answer that with, Vincent, I really can't answer that. You know, it's whenever our buyer is able to get financing. Believe me, we want this to happen as soon as possible, because that's really when we'll get our biggest payday. That's what we want to. So if you can do that, great. We can sign the papers, get this thing done. You don't have to make any more payments on your house. I'll put $10,000 in your hands, and I'll owe you $65,000 that will be paid at some point in the future. How's that sound? They'll say yes or they'll say no, and that's all right. Either way, you know, it's a good deal for everybody. He gets what he wants, not all of it today, and we get a house that'll let us make money. That's how we do that. I would write a check for all their equity today if it made sense. If you were, you know, highly motivated and you had same scenario, you had a house worth 300, you owe 200, and you said, listen, if I could, and I've had these exact words spoken to me, if I could just get what I paid for this house 4 years ago, I would sell it. I'd say, Vincent, how much is that? And you said $225, then I might write you a check for $25,000 today to get into that house, because then I only owe 200 on a house worth 300. Okay, and it's worth it, man, because if you said this is where I'm at, I could afford to do that. I'll get that back from my buyer, so it's good. All right, Roxana. Hey, Roxana, what's going on? How are you and Richie doing? Doing good in business by helping others will always be worth it. We can all earn great and do good at the same time. Leaving a legacy of doing good will be more meaningful than anything. Yes, it is. You know, it's that balance, though. We all want to do good, but we have to be able to stay in business.
That's right.
Same example for the $75K. What if they're asking $25,000 up front in monthly payments? Well, does it work? Will that house rent for $1,800? Their mortgage payment's $1,000, and they're okay with a $250 a month payment? Those numbers work. If their house payment's $15,000 and they want $250 and it'll only rent for $18,000, that doesn't work. You gotta work with those numbers, Vincent. You know, will that house support what they want? If it does, great. If it doesn't, I'm sorry, it doesn't make sense. We have this conversation with sellers all the time, don't we, Jodi? It has to make sense for us too. You know, I'm not too shy to say that.
And we tell them that.
Right. We're investors. That is almost an upfront conversation with every caller that comes in. You know, we're investors. We do this to make money. I can make you a cash offer. It'll make you cry. I tell them that all the time too, don't I? But I can probably pay full price if you're open to, you know, to terms. So,
and they always say, what does terms mean?
What do terms mean? Well,
yeah.
You're going to have to be the bank for a little while. Okay. And that's different for everybody. Okay.
And there's some people who are like, done, fine, do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's other people like, oh, I don't think this is going to work, because that's just the situation everyone's in. Somebody's in a different spot.
Right.
So you're just weeding through them.
You guys remember this in any seller that you talk to. A house is a house is a house. They're all pretty much different. They're in different conditions, but they all have bedrooms. Most of them do anyway. Bedrooms, bathrooms, kitchens. It's the seller that's different and their situation, and that's where the deal's at. We make conversation with people every day. We ask them about their house. Listen, when I'm talking to them, I'm already looking at their house. I know.
Yeah. So when we ask how many bedrooms and how many baths, we don't give a crap, really. We're using that time to like get online.
Right.
It's sort of like a stalling technique.
and to develop some rapport, to get them talking, because the more they talk, the more comfortable they feel, and they will talk. I want them to talk about their house. I'm already looking at it. I know what I need to know. I want to get to why.
Sometimes they start talking about what they remodeled in their kitchen and stuff, and that gives you a little time to click into some
Right.
websites and stuff.
Right. Why do you want to sell this house? And they'll tell you, I don't want to cut the grass. Yeah, I'll make you a cash offer, but it's going to make you cry. I mean, why not? You know, why not get it out there in a way that makes people laugh? You know,
it's true. And and then honestly, when you give them the cash offer, it's a little bit less than what's going to make him cry. So they're kind of like happy with it instead of mad.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You lower their expectation right away, and then when you come in with your offer, it's a little better. It's not so bad.
All right. So anyway, that's, you know, I feel like this. If we get this, some investors, especially when you're new, you're afraid to let a seller know you're going to make money. Why are you there? You know, you don't do this for your health. Yeah, it's great to be able to help people, but this is a business.
Well, tell them about Frank Kern's ad about I'm gonna sell you something.
Everybody knows that knows me knows I'm a tremendous Frank Kern fan. I love that guy. He's very personable. He's easy to watch. You like him right away. And one of his
really honest.
One of his latest ads, his video ads, is when you click on it, he says, "Hi, I'm Frank Kern, and this is an ad. In this ad, I'm going to try to do a couple of things. One, I'm going to try to help you, and then surprisingly, I'm going to try to sell you something." You know,
and he's just upfront about it, so you don't go, "Oh, this was a tricky little sleazy thing." You're like, "Oh, he just told us, so
sure.
How can you be mad?"
And he does that. He gives you some information that helps you, and he tries to sell you something. And it's a lot like what Jodi and I do here. We have products, we have coaching, we want to help, but it's, you know, it's a business. It's what we do. So hopefully we give you guys some information that can help you with your business.
Go to Step 2U and go buy some stuff that'll help you.
Yeah, and that'll help you more. And that's what we do.
And that helps us too.
Yeah.
Kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm being smart.
That's right. Mama needs new shoes, right? There you go. Okay. Let's see. Roxanne, I love your radio advertisement. Your website set up. Thank you for the inspiration. Hey, get out there and do it, man. You're down there in Florida. You know, you're in the group, Roxanne. You should talk to Ryan. If he'll stop talking about his baby for 5 minutes and tell
that baby
how he runs his business, man, he's kicking it down there. He's not too far from you, I don't think. I don't think he's too far away. Hey, Allie, this is awesome. Hey, listen, you and Corey need to come to the Mastermind this time.
Figure it out, Allie. Come on, we'll make it work. You can figure out your end. We'll figure out our end.
If you don't make dollars, it don't make sense. I'll tell you, you know, like I said, it's true. We're very fortunate as investors. We can make a great income and help a lot of people, but you can't make someone else's problem yours and stay in business long term. You can't do that a bunch. Okay. Make a bunch of money and then help a bunch of people with that money.
Right. You can't be the charity with the business. You can be a charity with the profit.
Right. All right. Mama needs new shoes. That's right. Guys, we got a couple of minutes left. If y'all got any other questions, let us have them. If not, we're going to get out of here. We're going to go meet some people for coffee here in a little bit. We got to move. They're remodeling our hotel, and we've pushed it off as long as we can. We've got to change floors today. I'm not excited about that, but
no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's moving from one motel room to another. It's not like a real move, but it's still kind of a hassle.
I'm telling you, when you have to move, it doesn't matter if it's around the corner or across the country. All the steps are the same.
I just mean we don't have a whole house full of stuff. It's a hotel room full of
stuff. Just about. We have a lot of stuff. We have collected a lot of stuff here in preparation for getting our house. Right. So every time we see something, we go, hey, we should buy that for our house. This one, we've got a 2-bedroom suite here, and one of them is just packed with stuff. Yeah. So we're not looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of work.
All right. So if you guys don't have any other questions, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Listen, we appreciate all of you guys being with us today. We really do. If we missed your question, we apologize. We'll try to catch it I'm going to ask y'all again to go over and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're not, we'd love to have you over there watching our videos and commenting on stuff. So get over there and do that. And you got anything else?
Talk to some sellers.
And buy some houses. Okay. We're heading out next Thursday to Denver. I think we'll still be here before we go. I think we'll take off after we're done. I don't know. We'll see. If you guys have a topic you'd like to talk about on Goat Talk, send it to us. If you're our friends, send us a DM. If you're not, send us an email. And let us know what topics you'd like to talk about. We'll try to have some guests on here to talk to y'all about it. And
if we don't have a guest, you just stuck with us.
Just stuck with us. So you guys have a great day. We'll see y'all next time.
See ya.